Hello, it's lawn mowing time, so that means it's video time. Judy from Thistledew Creations here, and my hubby Brian just got home from work and interrupted one video. So I visited with him for a while and caught up on how his day went. And then he sat and watched YouTube for a while, so I still couldn't film. And now he's cutting the grass, so saving grace, I can squeeze in a little filming for you. Napkin playtime. So today I'm just doing white glue, watered down, and I'm just doing the napkins over paper bag. And I intend to use these to make more of my little envelopes. Usually I do them on music paper. And I have, before I could film, I did up a whole bunch of music paper with napkins and set it off in the other room to dry. And so you'll see that in future videos where I'll make the napkins on screen with you. Not make the napkins, make the envelopes on screen with you. But today I just thought, I've got a couple here that don't have, like they're pretty solid. You wouldn't be able to see music through them. So I thought I would just put them onto paper bag, and that way I can use that paper bag paper and pretty it up. This one will be too wet for me to use right away, but I'll do the next one with glue sticks so we can make an envelope together. So I do both methods. Some people have one method that they prefer. I like the way it feels with the white glue once it's dry, but for quick and easy, I use the glue stick. So I'm just smoothing that down, and I didn't get all the way to the edge here, so I'm going to finish gluing this a little bit. And you can see the consistency of the glue. It just drips off of the paintbrush nicely, but it's not too watery. I find if I just roll my paintbrush when I lift it out, it doesn't drip on me over my table. It's not too much. This might actually even be a little bit waterier than I would like. But I just like the way it kind of puckers up and gives it a nice texture when it's done with the wet glue. So I just rub it through a plastic sheet. And then I set that aside to dry, and I've got a spot in my craft room where I usually set them to dry. So we're going to go ahead and do another one. I've got 3 pieces of this out of one paper bag. And I'm going to do this one with the glue stick so that we can maybe complete an envelope today. And so this has already got the backings taken off. This was a napkin that I got in a swap. And I didn't realize this, but most of the time when people swap for the napkins, they take the extra layers off so that it saves a little bit on shipping. You can ship more for the same price. And so I'm just going to use my Elmer's all-purpose glue stick that I buy at Dollarama. They're $2.50 for a stick, and it's a 40-gram stick or 1.4 ounces. And it's a good price. It sticks well. It's not infallible. I often will reinforce around the edges if I'm doing a tag or something. I wouldn't count on it as an absolutely permanent adhesive on most things, but I find if you put a lot of glue on for this project, it kind of embeds itself into the napkin. And then the paper bag is also pretty porous, so it takes well. And the nice thing about this is it's not so wet, you can rub it without the plastic on top. I don't mind a few wrinkles. They're just very fine wrinkles. It adds to the texture. jar, finish off this. And I'm not going to cut off the excess brown paper because I might be able to use it in some way on my envelope, maybe as a flap or something. It's got the, actually I could use it as like the front because it's got the little notch already in it. And I'm not going to worry that it's not perfectly straight either because this pattern, it doesn't matter, and I can straighten that up visually with some trim. So I'm just going to set that aside for a minute. I want to finish up the one more sheet. I don't know what I'm going to do on it yet. I have some sunflowers that are already, actually, this is the one where the lady said she was having trouble getting the layer off, so she left it on. I wonder if I can get it off. Or should I just do something else? Oh, I've been wanting to do this one. I think this would be nice on the brown paper because I think that sunflower is going to give me trouble. It was like tearing the top layer. Usually the bottom layers tear when you take them off. I don't worry about that because I'm just going to use them to clean up my hands when they're gluey, or I do use some of them at the dining room table or kitchen island is where we usually eat. I do use some of them that way, but it's just usually me using them, so I don't worry about whether they're perfect. And this will fit on here, so I'm going to go ahead and, where am I? Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and glue the whole thing down, and then I can, once it's dry, I can tear it or cut it and make little pockets or tags or something. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one with the glue stick as well, just because it's a little less fuss. This piece doesn't have the notch because this is, part of it is the side of the bag. You can see the folds here. I cut the bottom right out of the bag and then use the front and the back, and I just sort of tore it along the seam, not the seams, the creases in the bag. So you can see I put a fair bit on. And then I'm going to do about half of this, fold it in half and just use let this side touch. Actually, maybe it's too late. I was going to say maybe I will separate it and put the other piece down there with some brown in between them, but I'll just do this and figure out later how I'm going to use it. This was one I got in a swap, and I just have the one. So any that I have duplicates of, that's my job for tonight while I'm watching TV, is to go through my duplicates. I've put 6 of each of ones that I don't mind trading, just general themes. And I'll put together sets of whatever I can fit under this light to photograph, probably 6s or maybe just 4s that kind of go together as a theme, or maybe it'll be random misfits that I'll put together as a set and it'll be a one of. And then when the Facebook groups, once a week or once a month, they'll have a thing where you can list things you want to trade or swap or sell. And so I will have them ready, photographed and ready to offer up for trade or swap or sell. I haven't sold any. I've mostly swapped them. I suppose I could list them in my Etsy store. There's some people that don't want to buy a package of 20 or a package of 16 of the nicer napkins. I mean, the dollar store ones you get usually 16 or 20 for $1.25 or $1.50 or something. But when you go to, say, Winners, it's $7 for a package, and if you want to have a variety, like I can sell a variety for $7 instead of all the same one for $7. So that's what I think I might do. And so let's work on this dusty rose, and it's kind of a brownish burgundy roses with green. I love the sagey green that's in this. And what I kind of got to thinking was that I could use this as sort of the front, the pocket part, and then have this be the flap that comes down quite low. I'm going to need it to come up a little higher here. And I'll ink this before I glue it down. I'll have this front come down. Actually, I'm going to put some lace or something along here so it doesn't have to come down that far. I could probably use, well, not that crease, but maybe that will be far enough. This is going to be a nice big envelope that will then accept some nice sized ephemera inside of it to give as happy mail. So I'm going to go ahead and do this inking. I'm going to set these off to the side before I continue so they can lay a little flatter. And while I'm over here, I'm just kind of looking to see what I have for trims. I've got that. And that. It might not be the right things, but I'm just pulling out what I see in my basket here. A little turnaround carousel thing that you guys have seen before. So there's probably enough of that green. It's like a herringbone upholstery fabric. Probably enough of that to use. And then do I have anything in that burgundy color? That's the tricky part. I've got some brown velvet. Might work. Everything else I have is sort of either, there's another green that I may or may not like better. Everything I have is either pastel or bright, not too much dusty rose. Come around the other side for the rest here. So as far as the greens go, I do think, well, either one of these could probably work, depending on how I end up wanting to use it. That's maybe a little bit too brown. This might work. I do like the idea of the ticking stripe combined with the floral. Just pull my fabric basket over here. Black I want to save for Halloween. That's too bright. This might be good. Again, maybe a little bright. Let's see if I've got one in here that's a little duller, more muted color. It could be pink or dusty mauve, or even maybe that brown instead of that darker one would work. Those two together might give a good mix. I've kind of already pulled all the greens out. I mean, not all the greens. I've got tote bags full of fabric samples I haven't even looked at yet. I haven't got everything pulled out by any means. That's way too purple. That looked good in the shadows here. I think that's my best colors that I've got harvested right now. I need to do a bunch more of that too. TV time. Oh, this, I wonder if this would work or if it's too modern. Yeah, it's not the right vibe at all. Okay, so let's work with what we've got here and maybe just some lace. Oh, here's some lace that I got from a lady for wishes. No, it was a swap the other day. We swapped some eyelets for some dyed papers, and she included this lace, which is avocado dyed. So maybe that with the brown, and leave the burgundy out because it's too bright for me. And maybe include this green. I have more leeway as what size the pieces will be. And then I can use this other green some other way. I also have some of this. That's also too dark, too bright. Particular about tones when it comes to color. And I got some gold that may end up working with that. This is meant to have ribbon woven through it. So maybe I should see about some ribbon that fits in there. My ribbon basket just happens to be right here. I do have some gold. It's not fabric ribbon, but that's okay. I'm thinking that I'm not going to have just the right tone of pink or burgundy. Again, it's going to be too burgundy or too bright. There's a couple here that might work. I'd like to maybe do some layering of trims. So I picked a few things here. It's so hard to tell from just across the room, but that's not right at all. That one will work. And this one could work, especially if I use that dark brown. But the gold one was what I was thinking of weaving through. So that's certainly neutral enough. Yeah. That might work, because that one was what sparked the idea, but it's too wide and I don't really want to cut it. Not when I've got an alternative. Okay, so back to inking this flap. I'm going to use espresso, ground espresso, because it's nice and dark. And it'll show up on the brown paper. And I'm just going to do it this way, because I think with it being so wide, it's going to be hard to do the usual inking method. And some people might wonder why I'm even inking it, but I just like the way that it looks, and it also when it's brown against brown, because the inside of this envelope will be brown, it's hard to see that there is a pocket there when you open up the flap. So I want it to be showing it off. So I'll do that. And that way when I fold that up, there you can see it, right? And then the other thing is, the other thing that you can do is you can also line this with something. But I think I used the brown on purpose because I like the sort of utility nature of it. So I'm going to leave it brown inside. And then the edges just need to be sort of tidied up. So I'm just going to go along with my regular scissors and follow the edge of the bag. I generally put some sort of trim. This might be where the fabric goes. This one doesn't have quite as much to cut off. And I did tear this along the creases of the bag, so it should be fairly even that way. I can just get a touch more glue there to fix that. Actually, this could go down the sides. I might not even need that dark brown because it's not 100% right. This has got beige and sort of a peachy color. I think it'll work well. So I'm going to do the flap first, but I'll go ahead and glue this so it has time to set up. And I'll use the tacky glue for that. And keep it to a nice thin line, about 1/8 of an inch or so, 3/16 away from the edge of the brown paper bag. I'm going really close to the top. I left about 1/8 of an inch or so at the top because it'll spread when I press it down. And it just barely comes out the top there. Okay. So now that that's folded over how it's going to be, I'm just going to trim that a bit. And over here, it's a little more wonky. There. It's still not perfect. And I fold that down. It's okay. All those little imperfections will not be that visible. Okay, so this is going to be exposed when the flap is open. And I don't mind that it's a little bit brown up here, but let's do a strip of music paper to cover this, and it'll have a jagged edge on the bottom. And I won't bring it all the way up. I'll just do like a strip of it, just to give it a little more something, something. And will I use this one? This one's pretty ivory. I think I've got some darker music paper that might be better. If it's wide enough, maybe it's too yellow. Yeah, it's a little bit yellow. But I do have some beige music paper too. Lots and lots of it. That one's not bad. These ones aren't quite the color I was thinking they would be. So that'll work. Because that's going to add some lightness too. And if I use that, see, this is where I could also just put some ticking stripe. This music isn't going to quite reach, but I think by the time I do my edging, that'll be okay. So somewhere I've got a fairly rustic tearing ruler. I don't know where it is, so I'm going to do this. This is a pair of the edging scissors. Fiskars, paper edgers, and I thought it said the name of the pattern somewhere. Oh, I don't see it. I thought that it did. Come down to about here. So I'm just following, trying to stay perpendicular to the music lines. And every once in a while there's a line there that I can follow to keep myself straight. And then I don't think I'll bother with the ends because, like I said, I think it's going to be covered by some fabric. But I do want to ink the edges. Now, is it straight? No, it's not even close. So let's correct that while we still can. Just folding it in half, making sure that my ends are lined up, but not creasing it. And then I can cut from 1/4 inch to nothing here. And that's pretty good. And then I'm going to ink that again. Use the same ink. Which side? Oh, it's got to be this side. Actually, I could make this a pocket, couldn't I? I haven't done that on these yet, so let's do that. Make this into a pocket. It's fairly sturdy paper. Even though it's old, it's not thin, so it should work reasonably well for a pocket. The only thing is, if I had thought of that before, I would have put a notch. But that already has a notch. I'm not going to be able to match that shape, so maybe I'll just do it this way and leave it open on this side. So I'll just glue the sides and the bottom. Like so. And yeah, I'm going to leave it up that far from the bottom edge, and then flip it over. Center it up side to side and make sure I'm below that scoop. And it's really just here and here that I need to give it its little rub down. Get that glue spread out. I like that idea of having that extra little place to put something in there. And then the flap. This comes down far enough that I could round these corners, so I think I'll do that. And what do I want to do there? If I'm going to put this all the way across, then I don't want round corners, actually. And I think that's what I want to do. I think I'll leave that music paper exposed, which was not my intention, and have that. And then the gold woven through that. and then this above that. In fact, this could even be a little down a little further like that. And then this. And I like to use something heavy like this because it helps keep the envelope flap closed even though there isn't an actual closure on it. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'll get this cut to length, which will be right beside that cross piece there. And then I'll weave. Yeah, that's too bright. Use the gold. And this is kind of stiff. It's like plastic ribbon, so it will weave in and out pretty easily. I say that and then it doesn't want to cooperate. I'm just going to get rid of these corners so that it'll push through a little easier. There we go. You can see that. So I'm just going in and out on that little ladder area. It caught on something there. It's very thready. It's kind of like sewing. Just without the needle. A little bit tedious. But I think that this lace deserves it. That's what it was meant for. I think usually it would be like a satin ribbon, but I like the little bit of glitter that this has given us. A bit of glitz. You can also use it to gather the lace if you're so inclined, but I cut it just the length of the flap, so we can't do that. And this must have more little catches in the edge of it than I think it does because it's having a hard time pulling through. Well, that is very frustrating. It seems to be stuck. And I really can't, oh, I see. There's a little bit of glue on that ribbon. That's what's catching. So I'm going to have to abandon this. It's frustrating me too much, and I'm sure it's frustrating you too. So we'll do this. Leave the ladder showing. Actually, maybe I could put this behind it. That's what I'll do. I'll put it in behind it, at least. So with the tacky glue, I'm going to go right where that 2023 The Spring Shop label is. And just go straight across, very thin line. Like that. And I'm going to set this into it. And it'll just peek through that lace instead of being woven in, because that is just not something we have time for in our lives. I might take some more of it later and do it in front of the television where I can take my time and won't bore you guys to tears for the next project. There. And then I can glue this right over top. And I think I want to use the 3-in-1 on this section. And then I'll put it away because I can't use it for too long. It gives me, it makes me feel a little lightheaded. It's an acetone based. And I've been using it a lot this summer, and I think it's given me a bit of a cough sometimes, a little bit aggravating my throat. So I'll just use it for this because it's clear. And it dries super fast. It really grabs the lace or whatever it is nicely. This can move over a bit. And I'm just using my silicone tool to press that into the glue. I try not to let my fingernails touch the glue because it is acetone based. It will remove my fingernail polish. This lace is very catchy. Maybe what I should do is use the same trick that I used for the napkins and rub over top of it with plastic. Although it'll stick to the plastic, I'll have to be quick, just so I can put some pressure on it. Yeah, I'll just get it off there before it sticks to the plastic. Good trick. And then this, I want here for the weight. So, I'm unraveling it. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to cut it off here where the unraveling ends. And I'm going to put some craft glue, some tacky glue there to stop it from unraveling further. I'm just going to kind of work that until it dries. And that's a good trick that you can use whenever you need to stop something from fraying. The other thing you can use a little bit of glue on the end of is like if you're doing something with embroidery cotton or thread, and you want to stop it from unraveling so that you can thread beads on it or whatever, you can put a little glue on and then just kind of work it, twist it until it's dried, and then it'll stay stiff and not fray and not unravel. So I'm taking a lot of the glue back off, but it's basically embedded in the fibers because I'm squeezing it. So that's going to go just above the pink lace. And over here I will cut it as well. Do the same thing, because it looks like a perfect little cut right now, but it'll fray. Just kind of rubbing it in. Doesn't have any loose fibers, so I don't want to make it have any. And that I'm just going to put on with tacky glue. I'm going to put it right on the trim in this case because it will take it without giving me a problem. Squeezing pretty hard to get a fairly good wide bead of that. And then turn that over and set it down right where I want it. I do like to do something heavy on the fronts of these. And then all these other things that I picked out, it doesn't look like I'm going to use any more of them, except I do want something to cover the edges. So maybe this lattice one would be appropriate. I like the beigeness, and the trellis look with the flowers kind of makes sense to me. I was thinking that the green would be like a must-have. I guess I could layer them. Nope, I think I'm just going to do the beige. So what I've done in the past, I've done it a few different ways. Oops, tore some of that right off. Oh, that's going to be covered now, so that's okay. Is I will start, do I have more of this? Or do I have to be careful? I think I have more, yeah. I do. I have lots more that I can rip. It was a sheet, I think. Sheet or a pillowcase that I ripped up into strips. I'm just looking here. This might be worthwhile adding too. Adding another layer of trim here. I like that. I'll get this other edging done first, and then if it needs a cover up here, then I can add that. Kind of want to anyway. So I'm going to put it half on, leave the torn edge exposed. That's another place it could go, but I think across there makes more sense to me. And here I want to just tear this end if I can. Yep. A little fray on the end. Just cut those long pieces off. So I'll put that half on. And then glue that whole back side over. I'll just kind of do this sort of zigzag to give me about a 1/2 inch coverage from the edge. See, that little piece that tore off will be covered up. And then go about halfway on. So that glue will really stiffen up the edges of the envelope nicely once it dries. And I'm going to go around to the other side. And I'm going to snip it here. Didn't get that very straight, but that will go and fold in like that. I can fill in with a little piece up here or some more trim across here. Maybe more of this. And then that will, that's maybe where I could use some more little trim too, just to bring the burgundy color inside. I wish I'd cut that straight, but I can stretch it. And then over at the end here, oh, I was gonna bring this up. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna continue with my plan of bringing this up to here. And I'm gonna tear the top edge. But how I'm going to do that is this is going to fold in. over top of this piece. So this piece, this little corner down here, from here over and down, can go. So I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it on a diagonal there. And then I'm going to tear it. I think it's easier than using the scissors on it. And I'll have this come up and this come over. And that'll give that a lot of structure for the front of the pocket. It's going to be a little soggy for a while, but it'll stiffen up good once it's dry. So I'll put that up so that that torn edge is poking out at the top. And then I've got this maybe cut the wrong direction. There. And I'll go on top of this, and I'll just see if it needs another little bit of glue. I don't think it does. It's going to stick nicely, and then this edge with the fraying is not glued down tight, which I like. I like that tactile. It's not just all plasticky feeling from the glue. And that feels substantial, nice and thick there. It's still a little soggy, but it's going to be good. And then this gets that same fold over treatment. I'm going to go ahead and glue all the way up, and I'll put this little piece on right away out of that piece I tore off. I'm going to just have this look like it's lining up better. There. That thread over there, it keeps following me back because it's sticking to my finger. There we go. And this little piece that I tore off, it's a little too wide, but I could bring it just around too. So I need it to be there. I much prefer a torn edge for this kind of project. So that, just slightly overlapping there, and just up onto the edge of the lace, just the frayed part, and lining up widthways. I'm not quite matching the pattern. I could work at that. There, that's a little better. It's less noticeable. And then this could just get tacked down over here with a tiny bit of glue. Kind of finishes off the end of the lace where it was cut, and that fraying end on the I don't know what you call this stuff. I still can't remember what it's called. I've been thinking about it for months now, and I know it had a name that someone in the sewing industry will know. Icy, do you know what this stuff is called? It's not just called trim. A lot of people have told me it's just called trim, and I know it has a nickname or an official name. Nobody seems to know what it is, and if it ever comes to me, I'm going to go, oh, that's what it is. I'm so mad at myself for forgetting it. Like, I want to say like gimp or something like that, but I don't think that's right. But it's a weird word like that, maybe. Okay, so this other side will do the same thing. I have to put that off in my scraps and use this other strip. Now, was it the same width? Or was it a little wider? Just a touch wider. So maybe what I should do is grab the extra stuff that I have and cut one that's the exact right width, because I want it even on both sides, and I'm not going to achieve that both inside and out if it's a different width. But I can if I cut it the right width. Okay. You're going to see how easy it is to rip strips. Don't want that seam in there. Pretty sure this was a pillowcase. Get that all folded up later. So all I'm going to do is lay this down on top and just make a little cut like that and tear. And I've got the same width of strip. Okay, so we started here with our 1/2 inch zigzag. And again, this is so that we create a fair bit of glue and it will embed itself into the fabric and into the paper and on down into the paper bag even. So I'm going to cut this sort of half on. This is an awkward way for me to work. About the same width as it is over there. Up. I'm going to rip it off here again. And it's this piece here that has to go. So I'm going to rip it down to there, and I decided that had to be cut a little on the up angle. And that can all fold over, but I do want a slit in it here. I guess it wouldn't really matter. That allows me into that pocket right over to that point. If I go straight through with it, it folds that pocket up maybe more than it needs to be, closes it up more than it needs to be. I'll fold that over. Press it into the glue and get another little piece. This isn't wide enough for some reason. This one will be better. And torn edge at the bottom is what I want. And overlapping enough to match up the pattern. And then tearing it about here. And see how that's still popping up on me. I've got to stop that from happening. So some more glue here. and just bring this fabric around and try to tuck all those little bits in. And just maybe hold it. Be the human clamp for a minute. I don't hear the lawnmower anymore, so I'm glad I'm just about done. I like the way this has turned out. It's colors I used to use a lot, but not so much anymore. But it'll make a lovely package for someone this winter. Oops, that's backwards. I put the one up from the bottom and then folded over, but this time I folded over and then brought it up from the bottom. So there's two ways to do that, obviously. It works either way. What you don't get, you get a frayed edge here and not here. So I'm just going to leave it though, because I've already got glue on the face of that other piece. It's beautiful, not perfect. Yeah, so that's it. And then it was just a question of this little trim, whether I wanted to add it in. It certainly goes. I have another one of these napkins, so maybe I'll save it and use it for that if I need it. Don't think I need it in here. No, I don't think I'll do it. Just do it like that. Lovely, lovely little pouch. And like I say, I just love to fill these up with tags and ephemera, a few little cards and bookmarks, and maybe extra papers or stickers that go with a certain theme. Maybe even a little booklet. I could do a little booklet in there. Would look really cute. I'm just going to give this a little more glue because it seems to want to lift. I still don't want the frayed edge glued down, but it's just not staying down. So I hope you enjoyed watching me make another one of these. I hope you don't tire of it because I love making them. You'll probably keep getting videos of them. And like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell me what you would put in this little pouch. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.